Former pupil, boxing champion and author Eamon McAuley addressed the boys today and mentioned the former teachers who taught him in Holy Cross Boys, including Mr McCurdy and Mr Dorr, RIP. He also reminisced about the time that he helped Holy Cross Boys collect the Northern Ireland Cup back in 1976 and encouraged the boys to work hard in school. Eamon shared some of his writing and poetry with us, captivating adults and children alike in the hall. That was a great honour to be asked to go back to my school to do a live talk. That's me there and Neil Foran, who's going to land. It's like the end of the Rocky film. Me and Neil boxed twice, one win apiece. Both of them were very close. Sadly, Neil passed a couple of years ago. And the very day that we boxed there was the very day that my great uncle John Joseph Monaghan passed, 3rd of March 1984. As we were leaving my Uncle George's house in Manchester to go to Liverpool, the phone rang and it was George Muller, my granny Sarah, to tell us that her brother Rinty had passed. Paddy Maguire, what a legend, British bantamweight boxing champion, Commonwealth silver, Irish national champion. That's his wife there holding a copy of my book. Surrounded by some of his family, Paddy's got 11 kids. Me and Barney Eastwood, 1985, late 85, signing professional forms there to go pro. I should have stayed amateur for another 2 or 3 years. Oh, regrets, I've got a few. My Uncle Sean here, a street artist, came into the boxing club, and that's like a chalk thing he done. Took him 5 minutes. That is an uncanny resemblance to Sean. That's Sean to the right, by the way. An uncanny resemblance. What a talent. These are my son Kieran's boxing medals. He was 7 times national champion and 3 times 4 Nation champion. He done the clean sweep for the 4 Nations. This here is a letter from Gene Tunney, the former world heavyweight champion, to my friend Freddie Gilroy. He talks about Adi Adel, the great bantamweight, and Freddie's just won the European title, you see. And there's sincerely Gene Tunney. Look at that. There's his address, and that's the date he wrote the letter. Freddie's address. Wow, that is something else. That letter. Some boxers here from the Sacred Heart ABC. Left to right, Eamon McAuley, Terry McGee, Tommy Scott and Colin McGill. Our coach Eamon Maguire was some character. One of my early fights was in Drogheda, and Eamon said, get warmed up, you're fighting soon. 2 more fights. And he says, see when you're shadowbox out of a southpaw stance. It'll freak out your opponent. So that's what I did, thinking I was crafty, chuffed with my own perspicacity. And I knew my opponent was watching me, and I knew it would have freaked him out. So I looked round and there was my opponent shadowboxing, and he was a southpaw. Wow, that freaked me out. I was shitting myself because southpaws made you look terrible, and I never really impressed against southpaws. So it ended up, when the first bell rang and we both come out, neither of the 2 of us were southpaws, and I stopped them in 2 rounds. It was an easy win. But there's a moral to this story, but I'm damned if I know what it is. Maybe don't trust anybody. Marvin Hagler in colour with me. I was at Thomas A. Beckett. His half-brother Robbie Sims was boxing Nigel Benn. and I was on the undercard. A great pic just sent to me from Belfast. Eamon McAuley, taken around 1985 at the Hogarth Club. Left to right, Rocky Kelly, Harry Holland and Eamon. In my opinion, Eamon had the ability to have gone on to be a world champion had things been different in his life. He won the senior ABAs at Hogarth at only 19. He was a phenomenal puncher, along with one of my former pros, Alfie Little, the hardest pound for pound puncher myself or my dad ever trained. That's a great compliment. And there's some boxing memorabilia way back in videos in them days. There you go. There you are. There you are. I remember about a year ago I was on the door in Bootleggers, and this fella came past, he had a few drinks on him, and he stopped and he says, "You're a boxer, aren't you? You wrote a book." He says, "I bought your book and read it." I says, "Thanks very much." So he come over and he was talking away, and during the course of the conversation he said his surname was Pt6. I says, "You're nothing to Freddy Pt6 steak knife, are you?" He says, "He was my dad." So I instantly had compassion for him, and I thought to myself, what sort of life would he have had? I would imagine his dad to have been a bully and a tyrant, but I could be wrong. His dad could have been a tender, loving father. Who knows? But anyway, he said to me, "Is there any chance of getting him for a pint?" I says, "No chance, you're too drunk. Have to do my job."